This episode is brought to you by my coaching program. You can go from wanting to become a professional organizer to having your very own business and organizing for clients. I will walk you through the process, one-on-one, step-by-step, to starting the pro organizing business of your dreams. My coaching program is designed specifically for you and the goals that you want to achieve. Whether you have already started creating your organizing business or you are just getting started, I will come alongside of you to help you reach your goals. Go to proorganizerscoach.com for more details. You are listening to the Pro Organizers Coach podcast. I'm Samantha Brown, a professional organizer and business coach. In this podcast, you will learn how to start and scale the organizing business of your dreams. So let's jump in. All right, so we are on episode number 5, and today we are still going through talking about my free checklist. So in the last episode, we talked about getting started, the things that you needed to look into and how to get started as a professional organizer. Now in this episode, I wanted to talk about the things that are under doing business. So the very first thing under doing business is define how you price your services and your rates, whether you're going to do hourly or packages. And I wanted to make that a complete episode, so that is what our next episode will be about. But today we are going to talk about the rest of the things under doing business, which is establishing billing policies, how to develop service agreements and your contract, purchase and set up accounting software or creating invoicing systems, and to decide if you want to hire a bookkeeper or accountant. So I know that when you want to become a professional organizer, it is very hard on the business side of things. Not because it's hard to run your own business, but it's just new. There is a learning curve to it. But I promise it is something that as you become more aware and as you do some research and as you figure these things out, it will become easier and you will become a master at these things. Just remember there is a learning curve and it's okay to get frustrated sometimes, but just keep it up. Consistency is key to building the foundation of your professional organizing business. So first, let's talk about establishing your billing policies. So there are multiple ways to do this in the organizing industry. One is by getting paid for your services one session at a time on the day that the services are rendered, which is how I do mine. The other way is during the consultation to have someone pay for multiple hours for a set price. It is completely up to you. In my personal opinion, if I get all of the payment up front, I think my clients would expect for me to focus on them alone until the job is done. And if you want to be someone that focuses on one client at a time, that is exactly what you can do. But for me, I charge my clients per session and we get done what we can in the session time. Then at the end of the session, they pay me for the session for that day, and then we set up the date of the next session. Now, some clients like to have back-to-back sessions, and others like to do one session per week or maybe even one session per month until we get the house done. I personally like this because it keeps me booked out with multiple clients at any given time, and we are going at the pace that is comfortable with them. But again, this is completely up to you and what works best for your schedule and for the clients that you will be serving. So when it comes to establishing your billing policies, again, it is completely up to you. There are multiple options, but it is what is best for you. So make sure that you think about that because every person that calls is going to want to know, how do I work with you? What are your policies for getting paid? What are your prices? Those types of questions. So now let's talk about develop service agreements, aka your contract. The expectations to include in a client contract. The very first thing I include in my client contract is what the client should expect from working with me. I like to be clear about the expectations on both ends, what the client can expect from me and what I expect from my clients. I include confidentiality information as well, and I explain the process for using pictures for social media. I give my clients the option that allows me to take photos and share on social media and for marketing purposes. Now, not every client wants their home shared, which is why I always have them sign off on what they are willing to agree to. Another important thing to include in your professional organizer's client contract is what packages or pricing options you offer. There are a few ways to create the packages, like I spoke about before, but there are also other options. Like one way is to offer a room package. Another is grouping sessions. Let's say you offer a session, which is 3 hours at a time. You can package those sessions together to create a package. Buy 5 sessions, get the 6th session for free. Or you can completely just charge by the hour and say, my prices are $75 per hour and I normally work for about 4 hours. Or, this is your business. You can set it up however you would like and whatever feels the most comfortable for you. I also suggest looking in your area for how other organizers are pricing their packages, because that will let you know what the market is willing to pay, and it will let you know what is kind of the norm in your area. You can always increase or decrease your costs based on how many or few jobs you are getting to find the perfect pricing point. You do not have to be perfect at the beginning. This is progress over perfection. You can always tweak things as you go along and find out what works for you and what doesn't. Again, in the next episode, we're going to talk about how to price your rates and should you do packages, those types of things. And then we're also going to talk in a few episodes, I think it's going to be episode number 8, on exactly what should be in your client contract and what I have in mind, so you can get an idea of how you can set your contracts up. Because again, I want to help you. I want to give you anything and everything that I know so you can succeed as a professional organizer. And so you feel prepared when you go to do these consultations and the phone calls and all of those things. So now let's talk about the rest of your client contract. You want to think about in your policies for services, are you going to include late payment fees or cancellation fees? Do you offer free shopping for your clients, or do you bill for those hours? Because I promise you, you will have a lot of clients that are very amazing and they only want your time when you are at your session. Then you will have other clients that expect you to shop for all of the bins. I had a client recently that I spent over 7 hours shopping just for the bins, because when I first sent her a idea board, she said she loved them. And then once I did all of the measurements, I set up exactly what bins we would need for what she had in her pantry and for how much space we had in the pantry, plus how she wanted it set up on each shelf, like the canned goods together. And then she had other like oatmeal things and breakfast things she wanted together. So I had to make sure that I had the correct bins that would go on the correct shelves for what she had on those shelves and how she wanted her pantry set up to work best for her family. So I spent that time, I got everything ready. And then once I sent her what she needed to purchase, she then informed me that she had decided she did not want plastic in her home. Well, this was after I'd already spent about 2.5 hours getting exactly what she wanted, which again, at the very beginning, I had sent her the options of bins, and these were the ones that she picked. The plastic ones were the ones that she liked. So then she decided she wanted wire. So then I had to go back and find wire bins that were 16 inches deep and that were exactly what we needed for the pantry. And then once I sent her those options, she then decided she wanted a different color wire, that she did not like those. And I promise you, I kept her informed the entire way. But for a lot of our clients, the reason they are reaching out to a professional organizer is because a lot of them are indecisive. And so they get almost paralyzed with not being able to make a decision. But then once you give them the decision that should be made, or that you're recommending should be made, then they want to make a different decision and they're not really sure. And well, that's a lot of money for bins and those types of things. So my point in telling you this story is so you know that you might have to charge a fee. Like, okay, my sessions include 2 hours of my time searching for bins and baskets, but anything over the 2 hours, I will be charging $25 per hour for a shopping fee. That type of thing. You definitely want to think about this. And of course, as you go on, you will learn, and you can always go back and tweak your contract to exactly what you're feeling at the time and depending on what type of clients you are getting. Okay, also you want to make sure you include how your clients can pay you, what are the ways you offer payment, and how or when they are required to pay you. You are responsible for educating your clients on what you expect from them and what they can expect from you. Now let's talk about consultations real quick. Are you going to charge for consultations or do free consultations? Or do you want to charge for consultations and then deduct that amount if they book a session with you from the first session? Now for me, I decided to do free consultations and charge per session because that seems to work best in my area. I always tell my clients during the phone conversation that my consultation is free if they would like to set one up so they can show me the spaces they are having issues with. For me, it works really well. Then once I'm at the consultation, that is when I tell them how I could help them. I don't go into exact details. I just am very excited and yes, I could help you with this area. I would love to do this for you, and how I expect payment on the day of each session for that day's work, which a lot of clients in my area seem to enjoy. Now, every session the client pays me as I'm about to leave that day, and I like getting paid daily, but you might like a sum of money before or after all of your sessions are complete. It is up to you how you would like to set up your business. Also, again, once you look at the other organizers in your area and see how they are charging, then you will know more about how to set your sessions up and what rates you can charge in your area. So figure out what your payment options are and how you want your clients to pay you, and then you want to include that in your client contract. Now, finally, include your policies for your services. These policies can include late payment fees or cancellation fees. The clearer you are on these types of things, the better your relationship is with your client, and you are less likely to run into an issue later on. All right, now real quick, let's talk about purchasing and setting up accounting software or creating invoicing systems. So Square has an invoicing system that is easy to take credit cards and use. Calendly.com is affordable and is a great way to set up appointments with reminders. And then for accounting software, a ton of business owners like to use QuickBooks to keep track of everything. And there's also a platform called HoneyBooks. For me personally, because I don't invoice most jobs since I expect payment in person on the day of each session, and I inform all of my clients during the consultation that I expect payment for that day's session at the end of that day, and these are the prices, and these are the forms of payment I accept, then I've never really had a problem. But as a professional organizer, your job is to set up your expectations and to inform your clients of what it looks like to work with you during the consultation. Then always ask if they have any questions. This is why a contract is so important, because you remember to go over every point and you show them each point and have them sign the contract at the consultation. Now, one more point is to decide if you want to hire a bookkeeper or accountant. I would highly suggest speaking with a few different local accountants in your area until you find one that you like and that takes the time to answer any and all questions you have about taxes for a small business. You can also go on Facebook groups and ask for recommendations. And TurboTax has a small business tax thing where it asks you all the questions, and you could choose to do your taxes that way. But of course, me personally, I have found a tax professional that would answer all of my questions so I could set my business up correctly at first. And then I plan on using them to do my taxes. Now, I don't pay a monthly fee because I'm not using them monthly. I just used them for at the very beginning to make sure I was setting up everything like my gas miles, all of those things so I can get all of the deductions for supplies and everything. And then I use them again at the end of the year for the actual taxes. But of course, you could hire someone that you keep on retainer monthly and you give them all the information and they take care of all of it. Or you can keep up with it yourself and then have someone do your taxes at the end of the year. That is completely up to you. Real quick, let's conclude. So to recap what we have discussed in this episode is how to establish your billing policies. We went over a summary of your contract and how to develop your service agreements with your clients. But of course, we will go very deep into that in a future episode. And then we talked about purchasing and setting up accounting software or creating your invoicing systems, and to decide if you want to hire a bookkeeper or accountant. Now, I promise you, I know a lot of this is very detailed and it's very business based, but these are the questions I had when I was becoming a professional organizer. And that is why I'm trying to bring you as much information as I possibly can from what I have learned over the years. And then, of course, a lot of the questions that my coaching clients have are the episodes that I want to bring you, because I'm sure that you're dealing with the exact same questions. All right, so I thank you for listening. I wanted to let you know in the very next episode, we are going to go into how to price your rates. Do you offer packages? All of the things when it comes to you and your services. You have been listening to the Pro Organizers Coach podcast. Go to the show notes to find all of the links mentioned in this episode and hit that subscribe and automatic download button so you don't miss a single thing. Thanks for listening.